So last Friday's video, I talked about the dual purpose that Rose serves with regards Shane and Ilya's relationship, particularly her role as a foil and how it further explores compulsory heterosexuality within the story, particularly as it pertains to Shane Hollander. And in that video, I said that I had thoughts about the tuna melt scene if anyone would be interested in hearing me go on about it. And thankfully, I did get a ton of comments asking for me to share my thoughts, which I'm always quite happy to do because not only does that scene show just how much Ilya notices and cares for Shane, but it also confirms how that is reciprocated on Shane's part as well, hence the panic that followed. And yeah, I would like to talk about that. Of course, before I get into all of that, I will like to say a big thank you to everyone who's been watching my videos, who likes them, subscribes, and comments. You all are awesome, and it's been very encouraging to me to continue to make content, especially as I slowly get to the point where my body and my mind shut down for the year. Yes, people, I am taking my 2 weeks break after this Friday, although I might come back with one video after we get the heated rivalry season finale next week. I will also like to say another thank you to my lovely patrons and YouTube members whose support have been instrumental in helping me continue to make content, especially since I started doing this full time at the start of the year, which was the last time I was in paid employment. And a special shout out to Lina and Holly for their extra support. You get all the hearts and kisses too. Mwah. If you too would like to support me on Patreon or become a YouTube member to enjoy certain perks, even maybe get a shout out, the link to do so is in the description bar. And with that said, let's talk about the tuna melt scene because for book readers such as myself, and don't worry, if I'm about to say something spoilery from the book, I will give you sufficient warning for book readers such as myself. A ton of us have been looking forward to the tuna melt scene because it was quite the pivotal turn in Shane and Ilya's relationship. Their situationship up until that point had been going on back and forth for years, a ton of text messages interspaced with sex anytime they happened to be playing in each other's cities or when they met at the MLH Awards in Vegas, has meant that whilst they had been circling each other's orbit, they never really took the time to settle, to show how much they know of each other or care for the other or are starting to fall for each other until that scene. Or at least Ilya didn't. And then the tuna melt scene happened and everything changed. But of course, to really analyze what went down and what it meant, it's good for us to take a walk back through the events of the day. Shane leaves Hayden behind in their shared hotel room to go see Ilya at his apartment, just like he tells Aiden. He's working under the misassumption that it's going to be the pop in quick, get his back blown, and he'll be back in their rooms that same night sequence that they've always done. It's very important to note because Shane and Ilya don't do sleepovers ever. Every single one of their sexual interaction can be measured in a couple of hours, in a few hours. They don't spend time wasting hours in bed talking or chatting or sitting on a couch just being. It's let's meet. We tease each other a bit, have sex, grab our clothes, and bail. And that is what Shane was expecting when he set out for Ilya's place. Ilya, on the other hand, wants more. And to get more, he's taking the time to plan things. He goes shopping, fills his refrigerator with ginger ale because he knows that that is the only fizzy drink that Shane allows himself to drink and actually enjoys. No matter how often Shane has been teased about it, his knee jerk response is to ask for it first. And we see this established later on in the episode with the restaurant and the bar. He would always ask for ginger ale first. Ilya, however, to show his care and his feelings, because also remember, he and Shane don't really talk about their feelings. They prefer to keep it bottled up. It's kind of similar to their rivalry on the ice, where it feels like to them, the first person to admit that they care more loses. And before book readers come and drop the comments, I know this changes afterwards. I'm saying as at where they were prior to the tuna melt scene, it was a clear case of keeping things close to their chest with regards their feelings for the other they were not allowed to let it shine through or even think about it in Shane's case. And so, Ilya going to the store to get as many ginger ale as he can fit into his refrigerator is him subtly trying to show Shane that he notices what he likes, that he notices it and seeks to always have it available for Shane. So, Shane never has to ask for it. It's just always ready and available for him to take. It's a subtle way of showing Shane that he's slowly trying to make his home fit Shane's needs as well. And so he grabs the ginger ale and the ingredients for the tuna melt and waits. And when Shane shows up, they kiss and have sex as they are wont to do. After they are done, Shane is ready to leave, as is their usual practice, until Ilya asks that he stays. Shane agrees, and Ilya hands him ginger ale without him having to ask, and then offers to cook him food, tuna melt, as a matter of fact. And I know a lot of fans read that as a continuation of Ilya showing his care for Shane in cooking for him. But I've always read it as the other way around. In this case, it is Shane showing how much he actually cares for Ilya. Because back in episode 1, when Shane and Ilya were making plans for them to have penetrative sex for the first time, when the Boston Raiders came face to face with the Metros in Montreal, the snowstorm meant a cancelled game. And that is the first time Hayden invites Shane over to their home, telling him about Jackie's desire to be the first wag to cook for him. And although Shane is at first reluctant, telling Aiden that he's on a macrobiotic diet, upon realizing that he and Ilya's plans definitely have to be cancelled that day, he agrees, especially after getting confirmation from Aiden that Jackie would definitely take his dietary restrictions into consideration. This is important because a microbiotic diet is all about maintaining the yin yang nature of food. It does take its origin from Zen Buddhism after all. So it's all about balance, which makes sense when you think about Shane Hollander's desire for control. So we're looking at locally grown produce, cutting out processed foods, reducing animal products as much as possible, ensuring that what you take into your body are foods that are in season. That means no refined sugars or oils, syrup, fruit juice, milk, cream, butter, cheese, ice cream, flour, you name it. I'm breaking this down because I need you to think about what goes into a tuna melt. Canned tuna, cheese, mayo, sandwich bread, all things that Shane is not meant to eat because of his diet and ideally would not if it were offered by anyone else. But it's not anyone else offering to cook him this very unhealthy food, unhealthy for his diet at least. It's Ilya Rozanov, this brilliant, talented, driven hockey player whose insistent desire to win challenges him to always bring his own best to every game. It's Ilya offering him food that he made himself. And so Shane accepts. He eats it, but not only does he eat it, he doesn't offer a word of protest. He accepts it and even tells Ilya when Ilya asks him that he likes it. Of course, we know Ilya's question was more in line with if Shane likes women because Ilya was quite obviously fishing in that scene. I don't know how a lot of viewers missed that. But for a moment there, Shane Hollander, good boy Shane Hollander, looked this man in the eye and lied to his gorgeous face that he liked the tuna melt. And the reason he did so is just as much the same reason why Ilya made food and stocked his fridge with ginger ale, is to show that he cares, that there's something more, that he understands the underlying message that Ilya is trying to pass across. And of course, I am of the opinion that this, alongside the frotting and Ilya mourning out his first name as he came, saying as Shane, doing the same, is what sets Shane off. But of course, before we get into that, Ilya offers to make the tuna melt and Shane accepts. And whilst it's cooking, they sit together on the couch watching a game. Shout out to my man Ryan Price mention. Gods, I really do hope we get Ryan's story, even if it's just in one episode in season 2, because I need his story. And Troy and Eric. If only we get 2 seasons of this show, because it's only been two Shane, because we only have 2 Shane and Ilya specific books after all. So I hope they make season 2 like 24 episodes or something so we can get all the other couple stories too. But I'm sorry. My mind in the wandering thing again, as I was saying, Shane and Ilya spend their time on the couch watching a game, chatting, teasing each other, and just hanging out together. They've never actually done this in the 8 years that they've known each other at this point. 6 since they started this situationship that they have going. It's a first. And all of this is still part of Ilya slowly setting the stage, trying to work his way into having something more emotional and honest with Shane to a degree without spooking him. A valid fear because their entire relationship or situationship up until that point had been predicated on emotions not getting in the way. And he knew he was about to tip the scales a lot. Hence why he was trying to tread very carefully. Now, I've seen a ton of conversations online about Ilya bringing up the women he had been with, talking about Svetlana and asking Shane if he had been with any other women, as Ilya trying to rub his past relationship in Shane's face in order to create some sort of distance between them. And when I see those takes, I shake my head because I have a totally different understanding of the scene. That isn't Ilya trying to shove his sex life in Shane's face, it's him fishing. It's him trying to get Shane to come forward to him with regards his own identity. Ilya Rozanov's bisexuality isn't something that he necessarily hides from others. He's confident enough in it, and mild book spoiler at this point, when he's asked outrightly in the books, he doesn't deny it. He knows he's bisexual. He suspects, however, that Shane is gay. And that conversation was meant to help guide Shane into that realization that he has zero interest in women and cannot relate one bit to anything that Ilya was saying. That was legit what Ilya was going for, albeit in the most clumsy way known to man, because whilst I adore Ilya Rozanov as a character, I am also very aware that he's a dumbass. But a dumbass who legit only wanted Shane to come to the truth of himself. And major spoiler warning here, but in the books, and we'll probably see this scene by Friday's episode. But after Rose has the sit down with Shane, that finally helps him admit to himself and to her that he's very much gay. Thank you very much. When he does meet up with Ilya at the All Stars event, and they finally put Ilya out of his misery, where he had convinced himself that Shane was about to announce his engagement to Rose Landry. I repeat, he's a dumbass, Your Honor. They meet up in Ilya's hotel room where Shane tells Ilya to his face that he is gay, and Ilya responds with a delighted smile that is born out of the fact that he's happy that Shane is finally living his truth, and it was beautiful to read. So, yes, I do believe that the scene has Ilya fishing to try and get Shane to admit to himself and to Ilya the truth of who he is, because at this point, his belief is that he's giving Shane something personal about himself, i.e., his identity as a bisexual man, and his hope was that Shane would reciprocate. Of course, that doesn't happen at this point anyway. And of course, it's amidst this conversation that they are eating the tuna melt, and Ilya asks Shane if he likes it, to which Boy Scout Shane looks Ilya dead in the face and lies to him without blinking. And then the phone call happens between Ilya and his dad, and he calls Alexei afterwards and then comes back out. And this is the point where Shane asks about his dad and confirms that even though he doesn't speak Russian, he does know the word for father and can assume that something might be wrong, which is why he's checking in with Ilya about it. And at that moment, in that scene where they both still have tuna mouth breath, gets to me. Because as of this point, that's 6 years since the onset of his father, Ilya's father's dementia. That is 6 years since Ilya has been dealing with this all alone. Because his brother can't be trusted to be responsible enough to care for their father, even when he's paying him to do so. And for 6 years, Ilya has been bearing the brunt, the stress, the pain of it alone. He's still not quite ready to tell Shane the whole truth, but the reason why he lights up in that scene and pulls him closer and kisses the top of his head is in gratitude that for a moment there, someone else asked about his papa and showed concern and proved to him that he isn't alone in all of this. And that gets to me. Can you all tell that every single thing about the damn tuna melt scene, from the very moment when Shane walks in through the door and when he leaves, is one that is inscribed into my soul? I love it so much. And then we have the footage, something that book fans got that it wasn't fully explained in the show, like voiced in the show, unless you pay particular attention to it, is the fact that it was stated explicitly in the book that Ilya requests Shane to get on top so he can really look at him as they're having sex. That is the first time they are face to face at eye level, not missionary, not him taking him from behind, but like eye level, which heightens the intimacy for them both when Shane was riding him and then later when they were on the couch fronting. It's what makes it all hit deeper when Ilya is right there whispering Shane's first name against his lips at the peak of his release, and Shane does the same to Ilya at the peak of his own release. eyeball to eyeball, which is the point where Shane then bails. Shane's escape wasn't just tied to that moment of confession and his first name being spoken. It's been building up the slow and steady slide into more emotions than he had signed up for, that had kicked off from the very start of the tuna melt scene when Ilya opened the door and welcomed him in. Like I said, I love this part in the books, and Jacob killed it with the adaptation for the show. Like he's killed everything else. These characters matter so much to me. I keep saying that each of the couples are so unique in their own stories and the facets of their relationship, and they each matter to me in different ways. And I do think that the tuna melt scene confirms that for me for all enough, because I know a lot of people have come around to loving Skip, which I am grateful for. I even got some comments that said they preferred Skip to All Enough because Skip had more emotions. And it's fine. I would say, though, however, that for those who've written All Enough off because to them, all the two of them do is have sex, you have to remember that the reason why Shane and Ilya have so much sex is because it's when they're having sex that they are the most vulnerable with each other, which is why the footage scene takes place within the tuna melt sequence. They can't be separated from them because that is just their thing. They always have this important moment of emotional realization juxtaposed against either them about to have sex or just after they've had sex throughout their books. Even certain important declarations happen that way. It is just who they are. But it does not mean that there's no emotions there. I repeat, because they are so driven to make everything competitive, even the moment of vulnerability becomes a fight and a struggle to them, because neither of them wants to lose. And you need to understand that. Because in the tuna melt scene, the person who lost was the person who cared more. And in that scene, that was Ilya Rosanov. But of course, these are just my thoughts. I would, as always, love to hear yours, whether or not you agree with me. Please share them in the comments. Like this video, however, if you've watched this far and haven't done so yet and have enjoyed anything I had to say, share it so others can find my channel as well. Or you can check out my gaming or ASMR channels. If they sound like something you might be interested in, I have both of them linked in the description bar. I will see you tomorrow with a new video. Until then, do remember, obsessing over the things you love, perfectly valid coping mechanism.